So, ladies and gentlemen, what a way to start 2021 with Mr. Positivity himself, Jonas Cain. Jonas, thank you so much for being here on Bites from the Batcave.
You're welcome. It's such a joy to be here.
Awesome.
I'm very excited to share some positivity practices for how we can really start off 2021 literally on a positive note. It's such an important thing. I've literally written the book on this. It's a book called "Are You Positive? Rethinking Positive Thinking," where I break down 8 memorable and meaningful actionable steps for thinking, being, and staying positive. But beyond that, I have some very simple and very practical ideas that we can use because let's be honest, 2020 hasn't always been a very positive year for a lot of people. So how do we stay positive? What have you been doing to stay positive, Joel, throughout this time?
Well, a lot of it's been on connecting with people online. Connections have been everything in terms of all around the world. Trying to interact with people and hearing them and listening and trying to be there for everybody.
You've really hit the nail on the head there. In all of the research that I've done, really, I've been studying this stuff for the past 10 years because it was 13 years ago I went through a period of my life. It was a 3-year period of my life where I was in the dark night of the soul, so to speak. I was in a very dark place. I was always a generally happy person. But then sometimes we experience these experiences that can pull us out of our normal world, sort of like, thinking about Joseph Campbell's the hero's journey, and going into the inner cave. I was in the inner cave for 3 years, and I honestly didn't think I was going to come out of it. But one of the reasons that I did come out of it, and at the time I didn't understand how I was able to survive this time in my life, much like many people are asking, how have we survived 2020 so far? And so I became fascinated, and that's a key word. I became fascinated with understanding how people work through changes in their lives to experience positive, to come out on the other side of darkness and grief and despair and hopelessness. How do we come out on the other side? So I became fascinated to understand this. One, just to understand how I did it myself, but then to share it with other people because I had experienced it, but how did I do it? And in all the research that I've done over the past 10 years, I've identified 3 what I call pillars of positivity. And one of the pillars you just mentioned, relationships. The happiest, most positive people in life are those who have high value relationships, this valuable social support, this network of people that they're able to celebrate with you when times are good, but they're also help to carry you and help pick you up during hard times. And there was a study done by a psychologist, and his name is escaping me, but he had noted that the most resilient adults, so people in their adult life who are able to face challenges and overcome them, the most resilient of those were the ones that when they were children, they had at least one caring adult. So a relationship with some sort of a mentor, someone who believed in them, helped them out, and that carried them with them into their adulthood, which is great for them. But the question becomes, what if when we were children we didn't have that one caring adult? I'm thinking about maybe teachers or maybe people in the community, or maybe it was some sort of a figure who really spoke value into our lives. Do you have anyone in mind who has been a mentor to you?
Oh, I've had several mentors, including my parents. Um, People even like from a magic standpoint, obviously it was Jeff McBride, uh,
Mm.
Eugene Berger, um, and even my friends have been mentors. Yeah, I've learned quite a lot.
And that is such an important part of thinking, being, and staying positive. So that even as we, as we're going through this time, leaning on people, in helping to pick each other up. That's such a valuable way to think, be, and stay positive to get through challenging times, which is why that is one of the three pillars of positivity. Now, once I recognized through all of the research that that is one of the three pillars, I realized, reverse engineering my own experience of the dark night of the soul, I realized, yes, what helped me get out of that dark time was the relationships, people who helped to pick me up, people who didn't give up on me regardless of what was going on. So that's one. Another positivity pillar, which is so important, is mindset. Having the right mindset. And there's many qualities, many characteristics that go into this. Certainly one of them is having an open mind, having a positive growth mindset, believing that you're able, so you're able to see all the possibilities around you regardless of the problems. You're able to believe in your abilities to learn and to grow. This is opposed to the fixed mindset that thinks that you just are the way that you are and you're never going to change, which is such a hopeless place to be if you're not in a very good place, is it?
Hmm.
Which really speaks to the value of a growth mindset. Have you noticed how having a positive mindset in your own life has helped you to be who you are today, Joel?
Absolutely. And even just asking the right questions um, can just instantaneously change uh, the way that you think about something. And uh, Bob Fitch, on a show that I saw the other day, had a great quote. There is no such thing as failure, only discovery. And I thought that was a great way to think about failure. Because so there are times that you think, oh, I've doomed them, things like that. But I thought that thinking about that quote, you know,
Mm.
there is no such thing as failure, only discovery, helps a lot.
I never heard that quote. That is absolutely beautiful. And I just got goosebumps as you were saying that, because that is so true. And that's why with mindset, the quality of fascination, that is an important facet that goes into this, because it's only a fascinated mindset that could see failure and or perceive failures and perceive problems as opportunities for discovery. There was a study done not long ago that found that 50% of our lives, and and this might be discouraging to some, but I find it fascinating, or I find it relieving personally. It depends on which side you're going to look at. Is it a problem or is it an opportunity? But 50% of our lives, of our happiness, 50% of our unhappiness, it's out of our control. We simply can't control it because it's our DNA. It's our, we can't control our genetic code. We can't control who our parents, grandparents, great grandparents. We can't control that. So it's just the luck of the draw as far as genetics go. So to me, that's a big weight off my shoulders. That's less stuff I have to worry about, right? Talk about bandwidth. But the rest of it we do have some influence over. So 40% of our lives, excuse me, let's talk about the 10%. So there's 50% no control, 10% is stuff that we do have some influence over. It's our experiences, it's where we happen to live, it's the friends that we have, it's the job that we have, it's the things that happen to us on a day-to-day life. These are things that we have some influence over. Certainly, if you're born, let's, I don't know, in Massachusetts, which is where I live, far less chance that you're going to be, best friends with someone in, I don't know, Austria or something. In the age of the internet, yes, of course it's possible, but it's less likely that you'll make those sort of choices culturally. But you do have influence over it. These are things that you do have some amount of control over. However, the most encouraging part of all, 50% no control, 10% some control, but the remaining 40%, Joel, this is so encouraging. We have 100% control over. You know what it is? And any guesses?
Good question. No.
Okay, I'll just tell you because this is my favorite. It's our choices. our choices. One of the most empowering things that we can recognize for ourselves is to recognize that we always have choices. Even when we seem disempowered, even when it seems like it's sort of like the illusion of choice, kind of like the magician's choice, you know. But the fact is, we do have choices. Now, the outside world may decide to lead you down a certain way. You know, if we have three objects, as the magician, you could force me to choose whatever object you want me to choose. But we still have a choice, right? And that is so important. There was that, you know, that famous book, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, when he went through the concentration camps, noting how he noticed that the people who were able to survive, himself included, were the ones who recognized that they did have a choice for how to respond to the atrocities around them. Those that chose to give up, those were the ones who they lost their will and they died. I mean, this is an extreme example, but those who had a reason for going on, and that's the other pillar of positivity, is this sense of purpose. So we have mindset, we have relationships, and we have a sense of purpose, something to aim for, something that gets us excited about every day, something that keeps us going. It keeps our eye on the goal rather than getting distracted by all the obstacles that might be in our way otherwise. Having this something and it's really a sense of purpose. It's all our choice. You know, no one tells us, you know, this is your purpose. You're not just born with a label on your head that says this is my purpose. It's whatever speaks to your heart. It's whatever speaks to your soul. It's whatever excites you. So yes, 50% of our lives, it's out of our control, but the rest of it, we do have a large amount of control over. And I'd like to share with you, Joel, if I may, one of my favorite ways of thinking about this sense of purpose, because there's a lot of confusion sometimes around what purpose is. It really has two parts. And it comes from, I tried to track down the original source for this quote. I'm going to tell you a quote. You've probably heard it before, but it's attributed to many different people. But it's the idea that we are human beings, not human doings. And this really suggests that perhaps instead of just one purpose, we do have these two purposes. We have our inner primary purpose, which concerns who we are, but then we have our secondary outer purpose, which controls what we do with who we are. And one of the challenges, we often spend so much time focusing on what we do that we forget to ask the even more important question of who we are. What's our inner purpose? And this problem is, of course, a natural one when we're kids, especially when we're adults. What's the question on our parents' mind and on our teachers' mind? What do they always ask us, you know, as we're about to leave school? They say, what are you going to do with your life? you know, beyond living in your parents' basement, you know, you're like, what are you going to do with your life? And then when we do become adults and we do figure out what we're going to do with our lives, when we meet people for the first time, what's one of the first questions we ask each other? What do we ask each other, Joel?
What do you do for a living?
Exactly. What do you do? Of course, we're going to identify with, you know, our identity, literally our identity with what we do, when these are the questions that people are asking us and we're asking other people. The problem is when we focus so much on what we do on the outside without even thinking about what's going on inside, well, we're going to run into problems every time, because truly what we do in this life should be informed by who we are in this life. And when we do this, we'll find that regardless of what's going on outside of us, it will always fit within who we are. so we can have an authentic, purpose-driven life. So the question becomes, moving forward into 2021, how can we focus more on who we are so that regardless of the state of the world, the state of our finances, the state of our job, the state of all these things outside of us, what can we do to let our true inner selves shine?
Wow. Absolutely amazing, Jonas. Wow.
And that really speaks to the importance of authenticity. One of the things I've noticed in talking about, of course, relationships and connecting with people, one of the big hurdles that I'm noticing people are experiencing is they are literally losing their sense of identity because they've attached so much focus on who they are based off of what they do. You know, just think about the entertainers where they identify with being an entertainer, they identify with being a magician, they identify with in with with this job or this career path. However, when all of a sudden we can't do these things, when all of a sudden we can't go out and do magic shows, or let's say you're someone who works at a company and you identify with being that manager in that company, but all of a sudden the company literally closes because they can't afford to pay their employees anymore because they've been shut down too long. You've identified with this character that all of a sudden your sense of self disappears. That can be traumatizing. That can be a source of not just stress but literal grief because it's almost as if you've died. A part of you has died, and the problem is when we focus too much on that identity of what we do on the outside without having considered who we are on the inside, our inner purpose, regardless of what we're doing. How can we express our true inner selves regardless what we're doing? Oh my goodness. If we are able to focus on that, then nothing has control over us anymore. I'm thinking about for myself, I went 7 months without any clients, which thankfully I was able to weather that time. But I am starting to get clients again, thankfully, because a lot of my work is, I'm of course a magician, but I use magic to express positive practices, how to think, be, and stay positive through these 3 pillars of positivity. So I'm using magic as a fascination and an engagement tool. So I went 7 months without anyone booking me for a workshop or to do a presentation for their team. And yet now slowly, now that things are starting to get humming again, businesses are saying, okay, we're in business, we're in this for the long haul, we're going to invest in our people again. But one of the things that was able to get me personally through that 7-month period is for 10 years, I've been doing the work to think, be, and stay positive, literally eating, breathing, and sleeping, and in living these principles inside and out for 10 years. So I consider myself blessed in that sense that I chose that as my career path. But the thing that truly got me through it above anything else was thinking about during that whole time my inner purpose. And there are a few things, connecting with people. Again, going back to the 3 pillars, connecting with people, like you brought up, connecting with people, helping to make people smile along the way, helping to bring joy into people's lives. Yes, we can do that through magic tricks, but we can also do it through just literally smiling at someone. I mean, it's hard to do with masks on, I suppose, but but actually that's an excellent point I wanted to bring up. Wearing masks, we can't see facial expressions, but we can still see the eyes. So I've been practicing smiling with my eyes, getting those like crow's feet, so that's trying to be more expressive with the eyes. Eye contact is so important right now. So I find myself playing with my eyebrows more too, trying. I found myself early on telling people I'm smiling right now, just to make it clear to them that
Yeah,
I'm a pleasant person and I'm enjoying your company right now.
that's great. Wow. Oh, wow. Jonas, I would tell you, you've given us some great stuff to think about. I mean, I really appreciate you being here, um, especially
more,
at
more
this time.
happy.
Yeah, fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jonas, if people want to get in touch with you or want to find out more about how do they reach you?
Yeah, so you can visit my website. It's #positivity.com. That's the word #positivity.com. And all of my contact information is on that website.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.